welcome to the Bottom Shelf, the podcast all about, well, looking back into the past for our media consumption and check out stuff that we may have missed out on, maybe want to revisit. My name is Erik, and I'm the host for this evening, and for this episode we have decided, in the spirit of spooky season, to play Alien Isolation from 2014. But unlike the title of the game itself, I'm not isolated or alone. I'm with a cadre of beautiful and talented hosts, co-hosts, rather. I have with me Kyle. Say hello.
Halloween episode.
I got my other co-host and good friend, Craig.
You call me a good friend. I'm the favourite. Also,
hello.
That.
And
I noticed.
Also with us, the guy who's definitely not an android and here to discourse over at the end of this podcast is Johan. Hey.
Hello.
Or my good friend.
Also, I am ugly and incompetent. I'm not beautiful or smart.
Yeah, that's true. Sorry. That was
Awful finish, but that's fine.
as is mentioned there, we're going to be talking about Alien Isolation, but before we start with the game itself, maybe let's talk a little bit about Alien as a franchise and our experiences with it. The first Alien movie in 1979, the Ridley Scott's classics, was really a seminal work of not only sci-fi, but sci-fi horror. How do you all feel about Alien and the sequels and its media influence, so to say?
It's kind of funny how the first movie is such a iconic piece of horror craft, and the sequel's also very good, and then it's just sort of whittled downhill from there.
Yeah.
But that first movie still holds up really, really well, even kind of 50 years after the fact. So
Wait,
The first-
50?
Oh, well, I'm
Sweet
still,
Summer
my
Child.
maths isn't the strong suit, but 78, 88, 98, near enough.
I don't like this.
Yeah,
Tired.
time is a constant, it's terrifying.
It's not like we were born in 79, so you don't have to...
It just feels like it sometimes.
I was born closer to 79 than you guys were, so...
Yeah, still.
You're old, very impressive.
We'll catch you up soon.
Yeah, that first
wait a
movie
minute.
as a concept, that first movie really holds up well. It's kind of it's done in such a way that there's not really that many kind of like elements that can age, because it's kind of sci-fi, so everything's kind of already future-proof in that regard. But yeah, it's still a remarkable piece of kind of horror. It's fantastic.
Which is interesting, since only the first film is really a horror film. Really, I think it really skews towards action adventure after that.
It follows
Yes,
basically.
Horrifying.
It's basically the Terminator kind of setup. First one's horror, then it turns into action.
Yeah, very much so.
Cameron, that's what he does.
Yeah. It's also interesting in the way Alien and maybe more aliens sort of influence pop culture, specifically video games, in the sense that there's so many like concepts and ideas, or basically rip-offs, that takes the idea of the thing, the parasite that attaches to you, and the creates the alien threat that then comes out of you,
Like E.T.
Yes, exactly like E.T. That you never know what he uses those Reese's Pieces for.
Even the whole being chased around by the big baddie in an enclosed space that you can't escape from, that's something that's carried on into quite a lot of other movies and
It's a
games over the
very
years as well.
classic trope.
Yes.
That's
They invented that trope, I think, more or less. I can't think of any movie that did that prior to Alien.
I don't know that for a fact, but it's probably one of the first for sure.
It's the biggest one anyway, that's for sure.
Well,
Doesn't matter if you're first, as long as you're the biggest.
I mean,
The best.
you could go back to the Universal monster kind of thing, but
Yeah.
Well, I guess they were horror at the time, but sort of horror's evolved to a point where those films aren't really scary anymore, whereas Alien by itself is still pretty scary to watch for the first time if you're going into it completely blind.
Yeah, and a lot of that has to do with like the monster designs and such, which the designs of H.R. Giger very influential to a lot of other sort of monster art over the years.
have you ever seen photos of the actor in like the black suit on set?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
That'd be
yeah,
too scary.
fantastic. It's funny how the suit, when you look at it like from a close-up shot, is actually not that terrifying,
Yeah,
but the way
it's
that it's
not.
sort
Yeah.
of framed, you get the close-ups of its face and all the drooly stuff coming off its mouth, and that gives you enough to see, but not too much. It doesn't sort of spoil it too much. I think a lot of movies later on went a little bit too much into showing off the monster, and that sort of
Yes.
took away a little bit of the mystery and the allure.
That's the thing too, because I also watched a lot of deleted scenes from the first movie where they show way more of the alien, and it sort of takes a bit of the punch away because it's then
Looks kind of goofy.
yeah, it looks pretty goofy. A lot of those scenes.
Those big long heads.
Was-
Yeah, I think even like the aliens kind of hid the aliens off quite well. You get a lot of shots from like cause, like flash frames. There's not a lot of like full on like body shots of the aliens because again they just look a little bit goofy up close.
Yeah.
That's a mistake a lot of horror movies make, where they just you see the bad guy so often that it stops being scary by the time at the end of the film.
Not seeing it as scarier. It's like Signs, how you didn't see the aliens
Oh,
until the
and
end,
then
and
you
it's
saw
like and then it's
actually-
it's like proper like 50 sci-fi with the big massive eyes, and it's like no, don't do this.
A modern movie I had a problem was with the Babadook because I thought it was creepy up until you saw him.
I've not seen that to be fair.
Because he was creepy when it was just in the book itself, because he's like a character in a book, and he looks creepy as hell in that. But then when you see him, he's just a man in black standing in a corner, basically.
Oh, it's
Any
one
horror
of the
big
Men in
bad
Black.
guy.
Will Smith in this movie.
Ah,
Same with your Michael Myers and your Freddy Kruegers and your kind of Jason Voorhees. The less that you see of them in this like glimpses, that makes them far more like otherworldly.
Yeah. So
Alien is otherworldly because it's set in space, but you get my point.
yeah.
Horror movie making 101 on the
Yeah,
bottom
it's never
shelf.
been matched since. They sort of they can't really do Alien again in that way because it's been sort of done so well the first time round that they can't really do a horror angle on it anymore. It's just it's been too well done.
what about a parody? It's the other way. The humans come and
Yeah.
they.
Like that Spaceball sequence.
Oh,
Yeah.
mate,
yeah.
I still like the second film, even though it was more of just an action.
Yeah,
film.
yeah.
They're not really
Definitely.
comparable, are they?
I
They're
guess
totally
anything
different
after that's
genres.
not that great.
I recently watched Alien Covenant for the first time. That film was not very good, as it turns out.
Well, first I've watched last
Ridley
time I
Scott
watched
came
that
back,
was at
to be
the
fair.
Pictures, and I can't actually remember that much other than Fassbender was in it.
Was
The issue being
Fair
is that with
point.
like any franchise, there's just kind of need to constantly expand on the lore, and sometimes not knowing something is
was
good.
there aliens in? Was it called Predators? The one where people get kidnapped. Was there aliens in that?
I didn't see that one, to be fair. I'm not entirely sure.
remember
know there was an Alien in Predator 2.
There was an Adrian Brody in it. That's all I remember.
Yeah, and Lawrence Fishburne's in it
Yeah,
too, I'm pretty
Lawrence
sure
was
as
in
well.
it. Yeah.
That's
I know there was the
Event
alien
Horizon.
skull on the ship in Predator 2.
Yes, Adrian Brody in
which
Event
sort of
Horizon.
teased that.
That's the mistake.
Yeah,
they made.
Alien is definitely a decent reference point to base a game off of.
Yes.
And there's been many games before as well.
Yeah. If you look at the
We
all
discussed
the way.
Colonial Marines. We discussed the last
I
one.
never played
but
it. I know you did.
If you don't want to, we don't have to.
So I will say that was the last game I ever pre-ordered because I was burned too hard, and I thought I'm never going to be hurt like that by a game studio ever again. Because that game was a massive pile of shit. It
Yeah.
sold by the bucket load. It made a vast sum of money, but apparently it was just so
I
poorly
imagine
made.
most of those sales would have been, day one.
Wait,
Yeah.
are you talking?
And then
E3
people-
demo,
then
which was
people
completely
realised-
missold to them.
What game are we talking about now?
Colonial
Marines.
Ah, yes, the masterpiece, which is Colonial Marines. Yes.
Yeah, the Gearbox classic, which apparently they filtered money into Borderlands rather than giving it into the Aliens game, which really pissed Sega off.
Yeah. Well, even before Alien Colonial Marines, the Alien franchise has had a pretty big footprint on the video game industry, all the way back to the Atari 2600 even. That was
How many good Alien games are there, would you say?
I haven't
Take your
played
time, there's
the...
no rush.
Yeah, I
What,
haven't played
what was that one on the original PlayStation? That was actually that was pretty good.
There was two. There was Alien Resurrection and there was Alien Trilogy, the FPS games.
Was Trilogy the one that I saw you play once? The one like 2D.
Yeah,
Like, it's not
it's
full
like,
3D.
like a Doom
Yes,
kind of
yes.
thing going on.
That look- that-
that was
yeah.
Trilogy.
That was good. I like that.
I mean, as good as a PS1 first-person shooter could be, I guess, given the circumstances,
Yeah.
based on a franchise that's got very much a very hit-and-miss history. So, yeah, I think that's maybe my last kind of actual, what I would call, good Alien game, and that came out back in 2008 or something.
I feel like most of the more lauded Alien video games aren't really Alien games at all. It's more Alien versus Predator, of which there are many.
Yeah. I played the
Yeah.
gold one where I don't remember which one. Where you could play all three and you could have multiplayer on LAN and.
They all.
I mean, to be fair, there are I counted them. There are 7 video games that just called Alien vs Predator. That is all different kind of games.
Alien vs Predator versus Human.
There was the 2006 one, might be the most recent one, I think. The one that was on PS3 and 360.
I think it was 2010 actually.
Oh, okay. I'm just getting
there was the previous Rebellion one, which also got a sequel. There was 2 mobile games in 2004. There were beat 'em up on the Super Nintendo. There was a separate beat 'em up in arcades, which was done by Capcom, a different developer.
I've seen the arcade game. That's quite
and
good.
There was the Atari Jaguar game, which was touted as one of the better Atari Jaguar games, for what that's worth.
It's the only good Jaguar game from what I've heard.
That's going to be next month's episode.
So yeah, Isolation didn't really have much to go off of in terms of being the best Aliens game. So that helped.
I'm sure.
So yeah, I think that there was definitely scope to make the best Alien game as long as
far as I'm aware, it's also the only game that, or the only game in that franchise that actually tried to be a actual survival horror game. All the others were
it seems
basically
like a pretty obvious thing to go down in terms of, what would be the best genre for an Alien game. It seems like it would be a slam dunk, and why no one's tried that before, I have no idea. Why they keep making like action shooter games? I guess because Aliens is quite popular.
Aliens.
I think it's a genre that just tends to sell better in
Oh,
general.
I think from a
I
market
just-
horror games are
standpoint
kind
too,
of
trying
niche.
to sell an action game is very easy. Trying to sell a horror game, it's a far more of a niche audience. I think
It's only
That
more
might explain it.
recently where it started to gain more mainstream popularity.
I just realised a gameplay mechanic. If you have an Alien game, you know how they have acid blood that burns through.
Yeah.
With modern games, you could actually have that it burns through the level, like breaking level 1.
It's funny you say that. That was actually meant to be in the game. Apparently, that's one of their early concepts. Apparently, it didn't really fit with the gameplay flow and just didn't really work right.
I'm thinking more like Alien vs Predator, like Battlefield kind of thing.
Like a hint to the player that there's an alien nearby.
Burn your way through the floor to get to the next level.
Speaking
I don't think that would have worked.
No, it would be horrible.
Speaking of the history of the Alien Isolation, so the game was released in 2014, but the work on it started already in 2008 with a very small
team. The game
team.
came out on everything.
There was a very small team over at Creative Assembly, which is mostly well known for Total War games. So this is a bit of a departure.
It's the only thing they're known for.
you
They made some rugby game on the PS2 like 15 years ago, and I'm pretty sure that's the only other game of note they've made.
Eric, do you have any...
Excellent.
Did it start off as an Alien game?
It actually did. It actually started up as a multiplayer prototype where one person played the human and the other played the alien, and you had to hide from the alien.
That's
and then they saw how well Evolve did, and then decided that was a good idea.
It actually...
There's that new game as well, the same sort of thing with a 4-player alien thing.
It's funny you say that because when they got the approval from the prototype, they hired in a whole bunch of developers from other studios, including BlackRock, which I believe they did Evolve, didn't they? Or did
it was some of the people that did the Left 4 Dead games. That
and then they moved, made an own studio. Was that BlackRock?
I don't remember.
Maybe it was Turtle Rock.
No, Turtle Rock it's Turtle Rock.
It's all sound the same.
It's all rocks.
Yeah.
So certainly. So the game came out on what? PS3, PS4, 360.
It was that era,
Xbox
yes.
One, PC. They got a Switch release in 2019. Apparently, you can get it on Android and iOS as well.
What about the Ouya?
The Ouya, I think, sadly missed it.
Ooh, nah.
What about the Google Stadia?
I was going to say Stadia. Beat me to it. God damn it.
What about the Engage? No.
So yeah, it got a pretty wide release. So that is that era where it's that kind of cross-generational thing. We played it all, I think, on PC.
Yes.
Because Epic Game Store gave it away at some point, so everyone has it now.
Well, I bought it maybe in 2015, and now I finished it.
I did the same, I'm pretty sure, but well beforehand.
I had it on my Steam, and I no idea why. It just appeared.
It just came out of nowhere.
Just like
Isolation.
You've got to play the waiting game. Games just turn up when you need them.
Nice segue there, very nice. It's cool playing a game that works from the PC out of the box rather than trying to install like 10,000 mods this time. That's been quite nice.
Yeah. The last 2 episodes have been playing early 2000s PC games. on Windows 10/Windows 11, which is not super straightforward. So it was a nice
Digging
departure.
through 10-year-old forum links trying to find some random path that was removed from online like 6 years ago.
At some point,
That's
like,
part of
let's
the fun.
play a game that just works.
Check this mega upload link and get the latest patch files.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say no on that one. So yeah, the fact it actually ran first time and didn't have any, I had no technical
that
snags
also means-
with the game.
This is also
No crashes, no freezes, nothing. It's miraculous.
this has also been the newest game we've played so far. Everything else
Yeah.
has been old.
Is it?
This is,
Yep.
you could argue this is technically a modern game, although I guess
Yeah.
it is now 8 years old, so
Yeah.
how modern do you want to go? Technically,
Well,
it's
on
PS3
PS5
was 2
Series
generations
X,
ago.
so it's
I've
technically
got-
last gen.
I think I'm gonna say when we get into the game more, but I actually found some errors.
Oh,
Really?
Oh, gaming sins.
Actual like
Game breaking.
errors or like
Game breaking.
game breaking errors.
Okay.
Really?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, let's just start off with going over like the basic premise of the game, what you actually do. So in the game you play
Open
as Amanda Ripley, who is the daughter of Ellen Ripley from the movies. But Amanda Ripley is a character which I believe has been mentioned in like passing or in other background stuff in the Alien franchise. But they're not really a character that's been really fleshed out all that much.
In the
Well,
second
wasn't
movie,
it's the second film they mention it because
Yeah.
well, they show a
after
picture
the
of her
events
as
of the
old.
first one in the
Yeah.
time skip.
Yeah.
Wasn't she called like Amy in the Aliens?
I don't.
Yeah,
I know there
Amy-
was a daughter. I don't remember the name.
I remember her looking at a photo of her as an old woman, like, oh, she passed away a couple of years
Yeah.
ago.
Because she called her Amy in that.
Wow,
Apparently her name is
wow.
Amanda, quote unquote Amy Ripley. Okay, that's
so
that's the
so
same
in terms
character.
of the chronological order, this is supposed to fit in between the first
Alien
and
and
second film.
Aliens. Yeah.
Yeah, because in Aliens, everyone's been asleep for about 57 years, I think they say, in Aliens.
Yeah,
so it's
something like
in that 50-odd year gap between Alien and Aliens.
So Amanda Ripley is hired by Bill Nutani in order to find the flight recorder of the Nostromo, which Ellen Ripley was on. Because
Which survived somehow.
Somehow. We later learned how the flight recorder was found, but basically she goes along with a couple of Bill Nutani suits, Samuels and Taylor, along the torrents and go to Sevastopol, where they are supposed to pick up the flight recorder. On the way, they get the message that something has gone wrong in Sevastopol, but don't really take the hint and decide to go board anyway, which ends up going
Very,
pretty
very
bad.
Aliens thing to do, isn't it? Because that's
Yeah.
what they always do. Oh, there's something going
That's
on.
fine.
We'll check it anyway. It's fine. What can possibly go wrong? Everything, as it turns out,
Yeah.
can go wrong.
Everything is the shits on Sevastopol. Everything's run down. There's no one there. The first like half an hour to an hour is just you walking around this messed up space mall.
Question: what was Sevastopol? Was it like a mining like station?
Yeah,
or what was it? I got a bit confused there in
It's
the
like
game.
Nostromo 2, isn't it? Essentially, it's the exact same layout as the Nostromo.
Yeah,
Nostromo
it's
shaped
more,
like
it's
that.
more, it's more like a. It has like a tourist. It
Well,
has
a
like
colony, isn't it?
yeah, it's
I
like
think it's
a colony.
supposed to be like almost like an airport, but in space. where
Yeah.
Oh, I thought they
You,
were like
like,
harvesting something from the
transfer to
gas
different
giant
places.
because there's a gas giant next to it. I thought it was harvesting something from that.
That
Well,
might be
maybe
it.
it was.
It has
Harvesting
like
gas,
labs and
like
a
neon
whole bunch of
gas.
stuff.
I didn't
So
pick
anyway-
up all the sound things. So
So anyway,
Were you
yeah.
not reading all the audio logs, Johan?
no, I didn't get that achievement. No.
I know that Erik did. He's a big lore fiend.
There's no way I
Someone
was
has
gonna
to.
listen to all those. I actually,
This game doesn't make picking up lore fun because
No.
it's just too terrifying to walk around by
Yeah.
yourself.
yeah. So yeah,
I
speaking of
wanted someone
terrifying,
to hold my hand.
the first half hour is really tense with you because you know what kind of game you're playing and you sort of expect, oh, is this the point where they're going to introduce the alien? Is it this point? Is it just you walking around in terror? Right up
Yeah,
to
the
right.
waiting for it's almost worse than the appearing itself. Waiting for it to appear is the worst part.
Yeah, right up till the point where you meet your first quote unquote friendly NPC, Axel, who acts as your tutorial man. The big friendly bald guy who you feel you not really trust all the way, but you know, like in gameplay terms, that you're probably safe because they're not gonna spring the alien on you while he's around.
In a horror game, nah, they'd
Nah.
never do that.
Yeah.
I would.
Anyways, after some tutorial sections, you then meet up with the first xenomorph encounter, which is some of the most tense stuff ever. There's a cutscene, Axel gets got, and you have to run away and go to the nearest transit system and hit the button to call transit, and then you have to wait what seems like forever while tense music goes on, and just go, fucking where's the transit?
Yeah, these transit things are an ongoing concern because they take about 16 years to get to, and it's absolutely the bane of my life.
Yeah.
I'd never had any problems with them.
I think that point is definitely one of the game's highlights. That first kind of like half an hour before the alien even appears, just the world building and the sense of tension that it builds up, and actually getting used to your surroundings.
Yeah,
that's done really, really fucking well.
It's very, 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 very good.
It's almost too well.
So, I don't quite remember the chronological here, but at some point you find the flight recorder and find that data is corrupted. So you basically came all this way for nothing. And then you meet up with Samuels and Taylor again, who has been injured, and so you go on the. So you go to get some medical supplies, which I believe this is when you first meet the xenomorph as like a proper in-game threat.
Yes, I'm gonna say yes.
This is my least favorite part of the game. Yeah,
the medical section is probably one of the hardest thing you have to deal with pretty early on. It's not great.
I think I almost checked out quite a fair bit into that sequence because it's the gap between save points is such a massive gap, and you have got no way of defending yourself. It's just if you're caught, it's all the way back and having to crawl through vents and trying to hide under desks again constantly. It's just, if you get it done the first time, it's quite fun, but having to keep on doing the same thing again and again and hoping that the alien plays ball this time, it really frustrated me. I almost thought, let's watch a walkthrough and just call it a day at this point. But I held strong, and I'm glad that I did. But yeah, that point there, it's definitely, it's an acquired taste.
I liked it. I liked the AI.
Yeah, of course you did.
The AI is pretty good.
It's almost too good.
I mean,
depending on what you want.
That's the whole point, I guess. You can't really, it might go in here, no one can turn around and come towards you instead. It's meant to be unpredictable, so I guess in that regards, it does what it has to do.
Yeah. So as you mentioned with the saves and such, the way the saves works in this game is that I believe there are autosaves where you load in, but the actual hard saves are like save stations that you have to stand in front of.
It's like back to the old days.
You have to wait for
plot key points have checkpoints.
You have to wait for like 3 seconds every time you have to save before it actually saves.
And you actually get a prompt if you're going to use it saying if there's any hostiles nearby, which is fun.
Yeah.
But also, you might get screwed if you save and you're about to get jumped.
I never died mid-save in the game, but I can imagine it being quite an easy thing to do.
I like the whole thing. Like, you can look around, like, left, right, while you're trying to save. It's like, is someone coming? Is someone coming?
Wait, can you cancel the save halfway through doing it?
No, I tried. I don't think you can.
So you're looking around in vain, basically. If it's there, then there's no point even seeing
well,
it.
You know which direction to run.
Oh, once you
don't
run.
you
can flee again. Yeah, in this game, running is a big no-no. If you run, you're more or less
sometimes
dead.
You have to.
Yeah.
Unless he's fighting someone else, the big guy, then you can sort of make a quick retreat in the background. But even then, it's no, I don't like it.
So
I think I maybe ran for maybe 2 minutes combined. I think in the entire game.
I think most of the start, but also just the entire game, 90% of it is spent crouching. Not because you need to, just because you don't want to startle anyone.
Yeah.
I'd say more cowering than crouching, but yeah.
So anyway,
you use the lean thing very often to look around corners and stuff.
Occasionally, yes.
There was a lean thing?
Yeah, if you hold
control and move it left and right, you can sort of lean around corners.
Did not use that a single time.
That'd be a no for you then. Okay, fair enough.
I just relied on being slow.
My cunning and my.
I was aware of it with the keyboard and mouse is kind of an awkward thing to do. Maybe on the controller it's probably easier to do naturally.
Actually, in hindsight, I should have done that instead. Oh well. Next time.
After the whole medical section, you then meet up with Samuels and Taylor, and you meet our second set of NPCs, the Marshals, which are the lone, like, sort of good guys. They are the last bit left of the sort of law around that tries to keep everything under control and also has a plan to capture the alien.
Yep, they're very friendly, very welcoming.
Yeah.
Because, well, at this point, basically anyone you've ever run into is hostile, regardless.
Yeah, even the humans, which
Who you think will be on your side or not.
It's going to be a threat more than likely, so just keep yourself armed at all times, because it's just, they will shoot you first. Yeah, I get it, because they're on edge because there's a fucking alien killing everything on board, so I understand why, tensions are a little bit fraught, so, I'll give them a pass for that one.
Because you have like, the survivors, then you have alien, then you have all the androids. It's like there's all these different factions, and they all basically don't like you.
Actually, it's
you had the android fights before the alien, didn't you? So should we maybe talk about the androids for a bit while we're on the topic?
Let's just talk in general about like what you actually do in the game, the gameplay, because what this is it basically is the first person sneak 'em up, really. Because
sneak 'em up. Is that a new term? I like that.
Because you get access to weapons and tools and such, but actually using them is often not the best, because the way the game is made is very deliberate in the way that every action you do, you often have to ready the action and then you press a different button to actually do the action.
Also,
so
if you make noise,
you can be less trigger happy that way. You can't just like spray and pray like you would do in any other kind of alien game.
And noise equals bad times mostly.
Yeah.
And the guns are pretty much useless in certain situations anyway. So.
Well, I don't think you can even, apart from the flamethrower, like where you get towards like the second half of the game, I don't think you can actually do anything to the alien when it comes towards you.
Molotovs. I'm not sure.
I never did that, so that's my bad.
Molotovs, I think, can distract them. I don't think they actually get them away, but
if you direct hit, they run away.
Yeah, they run away.
Direct hit it. Okay, fantastic. Okay.
You get an achievement for it.
But like any of the other weapons, they'll just shrug it off. They don't care.
The pistol is laughable against anything, even against the androids. The pistol is just like it's like a water cannon. Doesn't do anything. They've got like 3 direct shots to the face for the early androids, and it's not really worth it. The stun batten's quite good, to be fair, against the androids.
That stun batten is
for a while.
It's like your one like melee non-lethal weapon.
It's the only weapon you can really use sneakily. Everyone else is like you have to announce yourself to everyone else that I'm in a fight now. Come towards me.
Because the standard melee attack is just whacking people overhead with a big fucking wrench. That's
like bonky face, which is great for like one hit, but if they take more than one hit, they'll turn around and just grab you by the throat and just strangle you until you die.
I managed, if we go back to the robots, is that I found a way to dance around, like you go a bit forward, you start going backwards and you hit, and then you go backwards, hit, and go backwards, hit.
Well, that never worked.
That sounds painfully tedious.
No, but I managed to do it a couple of times, but then they managed to grab me. But there was a way to like find them not getting into that area of attack or effect. What do you want to call it?
Yeah.
They just ran away because they can't run. They just kind of walk towards you very, very slowly.
It's the only enemy you can actually outrun if you need to.
Let's actually talk a little bit about the androids itself. The working Joes, as they're called. With
creepy neck motherfuckers. Yeah.
I really love these enemies in concept as like this is like budget brand like androids. They're different.
They're supposed to be described as that they didn't want to make them too realistic.
So they
don't get confused with actual people.
If you can't tell it's humans.
It's supposed to be like a selling point from a company perspective.
Wasn't that a key point of the Alien movie, is that the android wasn't actually known until you actually revealed who was an android? Isn't that part of the whole movie's appeal? So taking that away, this sort of makes them look
this is a different company that makes them, so they have a different ethos to what they want from that.
I love Seegson as a concept as a less competent Weyland-Yutani.
It's quite impressive when you think about the things they've done.
they're like constantly on the brink of bankruptcy.
The Poundland of space corporations.
Poundland, Weyland-Yutani. There. Superb. But yeah, they are like that, to be fair. And the androids, they're kind of they're friendly to begin with. They aren't that immediately hostile.
Yeah.
And then the game sort of turns, then they become very hostile and start killing civilians and stuff. Yeah. It's a nice turn.
I mean, that's more when we get towards the later part of the game, but I think they get programmed to suddenly be hostile to everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say that I think the androids is get a little bit overplayed near the end, where you just see, oh, look, it's androids again, and it's like the game's not called Android Isolation, and I think it's I think the quiet spell should just be kept quiet, not have to throw more androids at you, because they go from being quite like hard to being just quite tedious after a while. I found anyway.
The gameplay, it's either too easy when there's only like a couple of items, but then when they try and make it more difficult, it scales up in such a way where it just becomes infuriatingly frustrating. It's a difficult balance to get between not a cakewalk, but also not difficult.
Yeah, the alien goes away for the first time, and it's just you facing the androids again. It's like it really ramps down difficulty-wise at that point, because the alien's no longer a threat at that point, and it's like, wow, this game's really easy now.
I remember you talking about that you were annoyed that the alien doesn't attack the androids.
Yes. They just hang around, and the android just sort of...
I like, because I'm thinking the idea it doesn't care about them because they're not a threat.
What are you?
But then it would actually been interesting to see it rip through them as well. Maybe it would have been.
Yeah,
maybe.
Because wasn't it Bishop in Aliens who got?
Yeah, he got torn off by the alien queen.
Yeah. So
maybe she didn't know he was human, android at the time, because he looked human.
That'd be embarrassing.
Maybe knowing that they're androids puts them off.
Oh, my mistake. I didn't know.
It's like attacking
question,
the fridge freezer.
by the
Why
way, story-wise, what's his face? He's an android in this game.
Yeah,
did they ever point that out? Because I missed that totally.
That was one of the big plot points that I found very weird.
I think it was very subtle hints.
It's less subtle and more like, oh, that guy looks like Lance Henriksen. It's probably Android. The moment I saw him.
Because it was when you're by the marshals, they're like, oh, he's an android. He can handle that.
Near the start, where I think it's Taylor mentioned something about, well, Samuel doesn't need much sleep, so he's up for something.
Yeah,
like an android thing.
They do a lot of like hinting beforehand before
he's an insomniac, so what?
I actually
say it.
At the part where what's her face, the Weyland-Yutani woman, when she gets hurt, I was just like fucking around, and I actually took my gun and shot him in the head. It's like, white blood? Okay.
Okay.
Self-imposed spoiler for yourself. Well done.
You spoiled it by yourself by just being a dick.
And then I got endgame, like, don't shoot civilians or friends.
Or androids.
It's really on brand for you, to be fair.
I wanted to try and see what would happen if there was
shoot this man in the face and see what happens.
Now let's talk about maybe the biggest threat that's present in the game, and the namesake of the game, really, the alien itself, the xenomorph.
I call him Zini.
Okay.
I call him Go Away.
This guy is... I mean, it's the reason they built this game around him, basically, because he is a persistent motherfucker.
If they hadn't nailed that part, the game would have been fucking ruined. They had to get that right, and for the most part, I think they pulled it off.
Yeah.
So yeah, the thing that I'm not sure if you ever really noticed it in the game, but the way he's programmed to learn from your play style, really. So if you yeah. So basically, I hid in the closets a lot during the beginning, just wait for him to move away, and then it was like, yeah, this works fine. And then at some point, this starts like checking the lockers and just pull you out and kill you. I was like, oh,
looking for his lunch.
Yeah, I had that where I was like, I haven't hung around in one of the vents too long, so they decided, well, I'm just gonna go in the vent and find this fucker.
That's a terrifying thing when you learn that he can actually come into the vents.
Yes. Yeah,
you just assume that's good, like a no-go zone.
Yeah, because if he walks past, if it's open and you're close and he sees you, then he can pull you out. But then, like, oh, you think you're safe, and then suddenly, no, he's coming in. Oh shit!
I think the first time
I didn't get that in my game, but I heard you guys had that, and I thought that was hilarious.
I think the first time I noticed that this was what was when I was in the medical area. And I was like walking around, I was like, okay, he's not wrong, I'm just gonna walk. And it just comes popping out from the left, from the vent. I was like, oh, fuck.
I had it from the air vents above before. That was
that
caught me off guard a few times.
You have to see, if you see the drool, that's how you know, don't stand under it.
He's picking
up
a
when there's like fire and it's dark and stuff, it's hard to make out anything, let alone fucking drool from the ceiling.
Craig, there was drool, and then you can also hear him like growling. I was like, oh, why is that not? Oh, drool.
I'm going to take a closer look.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, the game's sound design helps. The sound design is really good.
Oh, yes. It's the best part of the game, the sound design.
Well, that and the overall, I think the aesthetics are really good.
Yes,
If you have kind of the alien low tech vibe they have. They nailed the atmosphere of the movie, like point to point. It is more or less the exact same as the first movie.
Well, the art,
they kept the like the future tech, but like the 80s impersonation.
Yeah,
of
it's all the VHS scan lines.
Yeah.
Apparently, they recorded the cutscenes and then played them back on VHS to get that sort of the distortion effects.
It's a very good effect too. It's like probably a little more stunning. Like, oh shit, yeah, this is like retro futuristic as hell. Like this.
Even you put the game, you get that 20th Century Fox VHS thing. It immediately sets the mood.
Yeah, I love that that intro.
I actually noticed gameplay. I've got a 3070, so everything ran well. But the pre-rendered cutscenes, those were actually they were actually lagging a little bit. I noticed that the pre-rendered cutscenes.
I have no idea why it did that for me.
I didn't have that. That's weird.
There was stuttering.
You played the game on. I saw you had stuttering. I never had that during my game.
The pre-rendered videos were stuttering, and I don't know why. They're pre-rendered.
It
sounds like a you
turned up to
problem.
max, and I still had a pretty good time. I didn't have any stuttering at all. Mine was like a solid 60 FPS for the
Not that there's that many pre-rendered videos in this game, but
no.
Oh, no, it's all in game. I'll give it that. I do enjoy the fact that most of that takes place in first person with you actually being in the camera. I like that.
Also, we forgot to mention this game has in the style of the time. This has a crafting system, which.
Sadly, it has got a crafting
I like the crafting system.
Of course you like the crafting system.
I would have preferred if they just had
it took me a long time to understand how to actually use it, because it's not really well explained.
Yeah,
a lot of the game isn't really well explained, to be honest.
You have to. There's a lot of trial and error before you realise what items are good for what as well.
Yeah.
Which I don't mind that as much, but when you have a crafting system where you only get so many of chances to test something, be a bit obnoxious.
The overall inventory system as well is a little bit kind of wanky, to be honest.
It's a like a radio system that probably works pretty well for a controller, but on a mouse and keyboard it's a bit funky.
You have like 17 different things to pick from as well. There's a lot of things on that radial dial.
Yeah, besides that dial thing, did any of you use, like, because we play on a keyboard, did you use like 1, 2, 3, 4 for the weapons?
I use the scroll
I
wheel.
forgot.
I never used that.
I never used that. I went to the dial thing and like choose everything every time, but I realized like, I could have.
There wasn't many situations where I needed to panic pick something. I usually try to prep what I want to use.
Yeah,
I never actually had
because of how clunky it is. I mean, I thought it was like semi-intentional like that.
Talking about the crafting, did you use a lot of the items?
I used almost none of them, to be honest.
Molotovs great. Molotovs are great. I like to use the noisemaker just to pull the xenomorph of humans if they're in the area.
Yeah,
that's
I
fun.
did that as well.
Med packs are great for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
EMPs are great for androids.
Oh yeah,
because you can stun a whole bunch of them and then just whack them in the head.
But then smoke bombs and flares, I didn't use a single time.
The only flare I used was at the tutorial where it told you to use it.
Yeah.
I never saw the reason.
Even my flashlight gathered dust, to be honest, because in the vents you just go in a single path. You can't really get lost inside the vents. And because of the way, had almost no function.
The way the game is, you don't want to use the flashlight that much anyway.
I used one battery for the entire thing for the whole game. I didn't have to use
I actually forgot. Did the alien notice the flashlight? Other NPCs.
I never gave it a chance.
It has to. There's no way it doesn't see it.
Because the humans and the androids, I think they noticed the flashlight, and I forgot about that. So I was like putting it in their face, basically, like, oh, they noticed me. I didn't think.
How did they find me? I wonder why.
I was sitting in the vent.
Code across the room to them.
I was sitting in the vent, like with a flashlight on. It's like he can't see me. It's like, what is this flashlight?
I wonder why.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of it's not really that useful. Like, even with med packs, because the aliens are one hit kill, med packs are only really good in very certain situations
the working
non-alien characters.
Working Joes.
Working Joes.
When you're only seeing the alien, the med packs are pretty much useless.
There's also some hazards in when you're exploring as well. The gas and such.
Yeah, fires.
The gas is never actually explained to you at any point. You walk into the gas, you start taking damage, and find out the old-fashioned way.
I thought it was just like a security thing. I didn't even think about the law behind it.
It's a leak, I think, or somewhere.
There's also you also have to do a whole bunch of like mini games and such this game is very much sort of like an exploration game as well, because you can really go anywhere you can go with the tools you have. But you don't really you don't really want to. You just want to get through
It's
that
a
game.
very
You do double back on certain areas you've been before towards the end.
I would have finished this game like maybe 2 or 3 hours earlier if I didn't go, because every time you get a new thing, or like I can unlock this door now. I went back to every area every time I got something new.
Good lord!
It's not Metroidvania.
No, but I did it. So I could have probably finished
I can't
like
deal with it. My heart can't take it.
2 or 3 hours early.
Like, some games, modern games, suffer for a little bit of too much hand holding. This game doesn't have enough hand holding, I think. It's a little bit more.
Well, maybe at the start of the game it needed more, but apart from that,
like some of the mini games, they don't even explain how the mini games even work. You just get chucked into this little screen. Oh, play the mini game. It's like, okay, what do you want me to do? You haven't told me what to do.
They're not that. Well, I mean, they weren't that complicated. I think
a few of the later ones are.
Yeah.
You mess something at the start and then you
three mini games, and it's like, oh, complete. And it's like, okay, what do I have to actually do to complete? Oh, you'll figure it out.
It sort of compounds the stress, because it's not like the world pauses while you do the mini games. If the alien is near and can kill you, it will kill you while you're in the middle of one of those games.
They make doing that stuff just complicated enough where if you needing to do it in a hurry, you'll probably not do it properly.
Yeah.
But it's simple enough where if you're doing it without any stress, you'll just do it, not without thinking about it.
Same with opening doors, all those, hold down right mouse button and press S and this button to turn this. The first time it was quite fun. After 17, 18 attempts, I'm like, just open the fucking door.
The only thing I disliked was the one where you have to use
realism.
Where you cut up like a metal piece and you like move around to get
Jesus. With the really big ones.
Spend 10 minutes trying to sneak around all these guard stuff, and then all of a sudden you whip out your welding tool to cut it off.
That's my torch.
So I hope they don't hear this.
Like, I'm being very quiet.
Sound?
Yeah, it's just no good. But yeah, I think if they kept them down to a minimum, same with turning on the generators and stuff like that, and turning the switches and turning all the handles, and it's just like press E and hold it in to do. Don't make me press like 2 different buttons and turn the 2 launch keys
I
at
had
the
no
same time
problems with it. I had fun with it.
It's not bad. It's just it's tedious.
I liked it.
It breaks the pace.
When you get the first thing, the tool for opening the doors.
The one you cut up.
the big stick thing.
Yeah, if you just stuck with that, other than then they introduce a blowtorch for different kind of doors. I thought that was a bit too complex. They should have just stuck with
4
one.
different kind of button combinations with different kind of doors. Cutting through the plasma thing, then there's the pull down the little switchy thing, then there's the big handle thing, and then just have one.
I'll agree with you on that.
It's all part of the same ship. Have one single unified entry.
Would you rather than have just get red key card, get blue key card?
You put in words in my mouth.
Yeah, Doom did that and it worked great, so I have no problems with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's just sort of it breaks a little bit of the pacing for me. Personally.
Talking about breaking, can I say what I found that was game breaking?
Please do.
In the beginning, this is no cutscene. It's the one where we walk around the ship, and these are like, "Oh, please come to the bridge." And then I talked to the android in the med bay, and then I walked away, and then I was like, "Okay, these 2 other people are standing in the med bay. Nothing's happening." He never walked from there. He just stood there. I don't know if I soft locked him in any way, shape, or form, but he never walked into the bridge to continue the storyline.
Now that you've said that, actually, I had a very similar thing. It was one of the earlier parts with Axel, when he takes you through the complex to get to where he's going. I walked in front of him trying to kind of get to where he was going first. He then stopped at a doorway and then wouldn't walk through the doorway to actually carry on with the scripted events. So I had to do a restart at that point.
And then also...
must be where he has to be in front of you for the game to function.
Yeah, and then in the hospital...
I was behind him, I think, at that point.
This didn't break the game, but it was like a program thing. In the hospital, spoiler, where the guy's like standing on the other side of the glass, and the alien comes behind him and kills him. For some reason, the door opened, and he wasn't T-posing, but he was standing still, not saying anything. Suddenly, his chest bursts, and then just disappears. And I was like, it didn't play out the whole thing that the alien opens the door, comes in behind him, stabs him, and then like pulls him away. It just played I don't know why, played a couple of things, and then it's like, oh, blood.
That was Predator.
No, it was just...
That's why you couldn't see him.
I had a weird thing where I was trying to get the alien to pop out to get some of the human survivors to get them out of the way. It jumped down it ran up to one of them, and then it ran away again, went up the vent again, and then the guy just dropped dead.
Oh,
seemingly without like any like you just
well.
had a heart attack or something. Like you forgot to do the animation for the.
And apparently,
I had a. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to quickly say how it moves around as well. It teleports a little bit because it was one time I was looking at a vent. I saw it just floating above the vent, disappearing, and then it like showed up in another place.
I once had a spoiler alert facehugger clip under a staircase when I was trying to go through one of the later parts of the game near a save point, and it would still get me through the floor, but I couldn't kill it through the floor. I had to restart the entire game and try and get that thing to reset itself and not be where it was. So I died like 4 times getting killed by this face. I couldn't see where it was anywhere.
Invisible
it jumped out
face,
through a gap in the geometry that I couldn't see and just grabbed my face repeatedly.
Actually,
very annoying.
I think I had
it was great.
I had a body that I shot. He actually fell into the geography as well, so I couldn't like loot him because he was underneath the level.
He's safe there. I'm envious.
He went straight to hell.
Space hell somehow.
Yeah, but the alien itself, smart bugger.
Yeah. So on with the plot.
Before that, I forgot to mention that one of the tools you get in this game is like the motion tracker, the famous motion tracker.
Oh, I forgot about that one.
From the movie.
You will be glued to that fucker repeatedly.
AKA your best friend when you don't know where to go. Because the game the game has a map system, but it's not very good.
I thought it was okay.
It doesn't tell you which floor you have to go to.
I used the map more than the motion tracker.
And that's why it took so long to finish the game for.
I played it on hard as well.
Well,
Map's good for getting you in the general area.
Yeah, okay, I'll make confession. I played on hard for a bit, then I turned down to easy after about mission 6 because I couldn't be arsed anymore.
I think we all tried playing on hard and gave up around the same point and knocked it down.
I started on medium. Because the game recommends you to play it on hard, which is bullshit. Because that's not the default. Hard is the default difficulty.
But the game is supposed to be hard, therefore
normal should be the default for every game. I think I'm going to try. That's what normal folks play.
I think I'm going to try playing it on the insanity thing just for fun.
You are welcome to try. I will not be partaking in that if that's okay with you. Try it on the DLC.
Oh yeah.
We didn't really touch that. Well,
apparently it's not very good and it's quite short, so I can't say I've missed out on too much.
The DLC that's based on the
Is it actual like extra story, or is it just like additional content?
I think it takes place during the events of Alien, and you sort of take over Ripley trying to escape. At the end, you become Ripley, basically the other Ripley.
I think I tried it years ago, but I don't remember.
So anyway, you get the motion tracker, which is pretty great, and you have to do this thing where you're looking at it, where you actually have to manually focus whether you're looking at the motion tracker or the background itself, which is a pretty neat touch. I didn't
do that at any point. I don't think I just kept it always on the. I can see basic black shapes moving in front of me. I don't need to have it be focused on what's in front of me.
Most of the game like you got glaucoma.
I just don't get it. You could hear the alien. You didn't need that thing. You was like, oh, there he is.
I needed just to know which.
It's too late at that point.
I usually just know which fucking room I'm supposed to go in.
That's what you use the motion tracker, like outside radius thing for. That's what I had use that for almost every single room to make sure I was going in the right direction.
So maybe now's a good time to actually circle back to the plot. You meet up with the marshals and such, and at this point you also meet Marlowe, which is the captain of the crew who found the flight recorder in the first place. And we actually play a little sequence where we actually go to LV-426. Is that the planet?
That's very well done, Erik. Well done.
Yeah.
Was that off memory?
Yeah, I have it written down. So
wow, well done.
So you actually play a little sequence as Marlowe as a flashback where you go to the planet, which is mainly just a tone piece. There's no actual threats there. It's just a way for you, the player, to actually relive that famous scene in Alien where they go to the derelict ship and find the big engineer.
Big man scene, more or less.
Space jockey.
The space jockey, they call it, is it?
Yeah, space jockey. And then you walk around, you and then you find the eggs, and that's basically how the entire plot
How
happens.
shit went down.
Inside the eggs. Why do folks keep putting their face inside the eggs? What's wrong with them? Why do they see an egg go, ooh, and think, I'm going to put my face in there and see what's going on? Don't do that.
It's basically
Never
a walking
do that.
simulator.
Why would you ever think that's a good thing to do? Idiots.
See, if I was on the Nostromo, none of this would have happened.
No, eggs, I'm out. See you later. Bye-bye. I'm gone. No, this I need to go and check this for reasons that I can't quite
stick
explain.
my hand in there.
Did you like the whole walking section? Because I didn't.
It's the best part of the game.
It's a very good mood sequence, and I really enjoyed it.
It's a glorified cutscene, to be fair.
Maybe it could have been a little bit shorter, like if you just got straight to the ship.
Yeah, I think the walking thing, trying to use the fake motion tracker and trying to find out where you're going and all the blowing up the rocks to get through, that's a bit tedious.
It's the same thing later in the game where you're like on the outside of the space of Sevastopol, where you're like walking really slowly. I got annoyed by that as well.
Well, you're spacewalking. You can't really space.
I understand it's for ambience and that, but it was like, oh, please, for that, you could have made this a cutscene.
I was half expecting like something to happen, like on the way back or on the way there. It was such a long walk. This is building up to something. It didn't really build up to anything.
Alien Queen bursts out.
That's a fault with the game. The game's got like three kind of like ending points, and it just keeps carrying on. But that's another debate for later on.
Let's talk about the first of these ending points when you basically go out. You get the flamethrower, which is your best friend for the rest of the game.
Which you will need for everything going forward. It makes the game infinitely more enjoyable. You've got the way of actually defending yourself properly.
Yeah. So you basically enact the plan to try to trap the alien. It sort of goes AFR, but in the end, you manage to figure it out. Not before the main Marshal Vates, who tries to trap you with the alien.
He couldn't wait.
Yeah.
Hey, sorry, guys.
Well, that was after you already tried to trap it in one place and it didn't work.
Yeah.
So at that point, it's like, okay, I'm not taking any more chances. I'm just gonna make damn sure that it's not getting anywhere near us.
He's got a point.
Yeah, but at the point he disengaged that entire place of the space station, you were at the door to exit. You could have waited like 5 seconds and I would be out.
It wouldn't have been as dramatic.
Yeah, he just doesn't like you very much.
Anyway, you somehow managed to... There's a very short sequence where everything's 0G, and I was like, ooh, this was neat. And then it stops, so like, oh, it's just normal again.
Trying to escape the alien with 0G sounds like my idea of hell. I really I can't deal with like a swimming space alien like lunging towards you. That's just not going to work for me, personally.
So, but yeah, you managed to escape by finding an airlock and getting on the spaceship and blasting away back to the main Sevastopol. And yeah, that's it. You isolated the alien. Well done. That's it for the game, right? I will
say about that whole thing, like Ripley's got like massive plot armor attached to the point where like the fact that she can get herself back onto that ship after being blasted off, it's kind of like Nathan Drake syndrome, where you should be dead like several times over, but somehow you've managed to survive by just more luck than judgment. And it takes a little bit like, it doesn't really feel like an alien. You feel like the threats are actually real and that someone could actually die. Whereas in the game, you feel like, I'm not going to die, I'm the main character. They can't kill me off, but I've got this massive plot armor on. And it's true.
Well, they can't really do anything about that other than make it a really short game.
Killer?
Games have killed main characters before. You could change the antagonist to something else. It could be anything. You can change it around a little bit, but it feels a little bit too like, I've survived the explosions and alien encounters and everything else. I've been spaced twice and I've managed to get back to where I was. It just, I don't know. It didn't really sit right with me.
Oh, that's fair. So at this point of the game, the alien is gone, and we now shifted threats a bit over more to androids, which is now gone really berserk. Kills off the entire Marshal crew except one guy, Ricardo, who's basically your mission control for the rest of the game.
Token British man.
Oi, Ripley!
All right, Ripley, I'll stay in the big glass room. You do all the threatening stuff.
The real survival horror is this space filled with British people.
I've got Space Britain. Another colony. Hey.
Colony.
I think this is the point where you learn that either before this or at this point where you learn that Samuels has been sent to the synthetics area in order to deal with the androids, since he's an android himself.
It's back where he belongs.
Yeah.
Go back with your own people.
Being androidist.
You go to meet up Samuels, and you see him beat that ever-loving dog shit out of that working Joe, which is a great sequence.
I don't have time for this.
He's an android. Until that, I had no idea until I saw him do that and thought, that's a very android thing to do. Wait a minute.
I missed all the hints of them basically saying
my first thought was he's an android, therefore he's going to be like a bad android. That's a very alien thing to do.
It's not so much the game keeps that information away from me, it just doesn't feel it's the need to tell you. It's like
no, but they tell you.
Like, hi, I'm an android.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
There is a radio communicator like, I sent him down there. He's one of them.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense of androids are that kind of commonplace in their world. Having it be, he's an android would be a bit of a pointless thing.
Yeah, I like the idea where it's just sort of, at least from the character.
He's just a crewmate.
The characters, because they know, but they don't talk about it because it's just a normal thing.
Yeah.
It's not like, look, she's a woman. It's just like that. You know, it's like, it's irrelevant to the
I sent her to talk to the Queen. She's a woman.
It's that ingrained in their culture that the fact they're not human doesn't
It's only weird to us because we're playing it from a perspective not in that universe.
Yeah.
It doesn't have androids. Well, my phone's an Android, but apart from that...
Oh.
Well, Mark Zuckerberg.
My Samsung disagrees.
Samuel, Samsung, you know.
Wait a minute.
So, anyway... in that whole section, Samuel's trying to interface with the AI, which has gone a bit haywire, and basically he ends up dying, not before unlocking the AI for you to go to the core. And check.
That's silly kind of a color matching pipe game, trying to get the right switches pulled, so it doesn't get fried immediately.
Yeah, that's always fun.
More mini games. Well, I guess that one's a bit more easily explained, which is quite nice. It tells you what to actually do.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's no actual threats at that whole point. There's not really anything to actually avoid. There's not many androids floating around, and the aliens now out the scene. So that's actually quite a nice change of pace, actually.
It's kind of sad. Samuels was one of the cooler characters in the game, but they don't do much with him. He's just there being stoic, and then he saves the day and dies. They're
all bland in this game. There's not a single exciting character in the entire game. They're all very much kind of bland and not really well elaborated on. The reason the alien works is that each alien had their own kind of unique personality that sort of shone through the character. The game doesn't have that at all. Even Ripley has she wants to find her mother's basically her death warrant on the Nostromo logs, but that's pretty much her only motivation, and there's not any real growth as a character.
They're not given much motivation to even stick around on when they found out there's a problem. It's only because they can't leave is why they have to deal with the problem.
They're just big kind of flashbacks for the alien to slaughter later on. That's the only purpose they actually serve. I mean, mind you, any survival horror games really emphasize character development that much.
I've not played any of them,
but Silent Hill is the core tenet of the fact that these are characters with.
I kept forgetting characters' names and stuff because they don't really have any personality apart from just being that person's annoying or that person's scared.
The main character of Alien has always been the alien, really. I suppose as long as they've got that,
I don't know. I mean, Alien. The alien appears in it's like 5 minutes screen time in the entire first movie.
It's the most memorable 5 minutes.
I mean, that's also true, actually. Fair enough point. I think it's more the threat of the alien being around than the actual alien being around that was the main drive for the movie, at least. And I think the game does a very similar thing where even if it's not there, you know it's around.
So when I finished playing the game and thought about the general story beats and how it plays out, it feels very similar to the movie. In terms of when you
fault, I think.
Well, I think that's a somewhat smarter choice. If you're gonna make an alien game, make it something people will something a known quantity.
So but you can take the foundations and build something a bit new and fresh off it. It plays into the tropes a little bit too much, I think, after a while.
So
I'll take that over the later Alien movies, to be honest.
Over Cloning Marines.
Yeah.
So at this point in the game, you then have to journey to the core, and on the way, you meet the next level of android, which
These fuckers.
These guys have clothes.
And you can't hurt them with the stun baton.
So shock batons do nothing. Do the EMPs do nothing, do they?
No.
The only thing that works towards them is the pipe bombs. And at this point, you can just throw them willy-nilly because the alien isn't there. You can't summon it.
Or a lot of bullets.
But you don't have a gun there.
Yeah, that's also.
Oh yeah, they disarmed you. There's an X-ray scanner that you have to leave your guns behind.
There's a gun ex machina.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a airport check out ex machina. Yeah, that's a pain in the arse. Trying to have all the items that you've got and have them removed from yourself at a point where you have to actually use them. That was
very standard for loads of FPSs.
I just ran through big chunks of that part because I really couldn't be arsed trying to like deal with the aliens anymore. I mean the androids. I was like, yeah, just fucking catch me. Oh, you can't catch me. Tough break.
So yeah, you reach the core. You try to ask Apollo, the AI of the space station, to, hey, stop this nonsense.
Please stop killing people.
Is this the point where we learned that?
It goes new.
Is this the point where we learned that Apollo is running on Weyland-Yutani routines?
Yeah.
Basically, the space station, who's been dealing with massive depth for ages, is like a few weeks before Ripley came to the space station. It was suddenly, in a mysterious circumstances, brought up by Weyland-Yutani.
A very standard Weyland-Yutani function.
Yeah.
It's very much on brand for them, and it's the same kind of crew expendable, maintain the aliens specimen.
They've got to have more money.
That's the one constant in the Alien franchise is the humans thinking they can actually control this thing when it keeps proving that they can't.
So much. I hate that they keep going back to, we can harvest the alien and learn from it and make it into weapons.
It murders everyone.
Keeps trying it and it fails every single time. I want a game or a film that goes, you know what, let's not do this. Let's do the opposite. Let's say they actually want to kill it.
Really short film.
Well, that would be a Predator movie, wouldn't it? Let's just kill it.
Yeah, but it's just boring that the company always tries to preserve it and it always fails.
Well, because it's man's hubris.
I knew it was going to happen. As soon as I saw the company name, I thought, it's going to be one of these, kill all the crew, doesn't matter, keep the alien on board. And it was.
And so, you tell the AI, hey, stop with the killing. And the AI goes, lol, no. But the alien isn't there. And it goes, oh, is it? Dun, dun, dun.
Winky face.
So you go deep into the core, where suddenly, whoops, the name of the game is false. It should be Aliens Isolation, plural. There's
I saw
a bunch
the
of them
on the walls and thought, shit, here we go again.
There's eggs, there's facehuggers, there's 2 xenomorphs running around. This sequence it took me the longest to actually play this sequence because I had to man myself up. This was so.
I thought that was like the end game. Apparently, I wasn't even close to it. I thought
it felt very end game. It's like, we're going to sabotage
the game has like 2 or 3 different end games. It must be it now. And then it carries on above and beyond that. But yeah, it had an air of finality to it, and it just didn't happen.
Lol, no.
So you do
facehuggers.
They're fun. They're very fun. Insta-kill everywhere. That's a favorite part of any game, really, is when you just can run around the corner and there's something that kills you in one hit. That's
Alien. That's what that does anyway. So if anything, it's on brand for this game. So it's consistent. I'll give it that much.
Yeah, but Alien, you usually see an alien coming.
I mean, they're like one blast of the flamethrower and they're gone, the facehuggers, to be fair. So they aren't much of a threat if you know where they're coming from. But then the flamethrower also tracks the alien.
They give a decent audio cue to know if one's probably running towards you at this point.
Yeah.
But you kill one and guess what appears? The big boy.
It's a pretty short section. This you basically, if you speedrun it, you can just go from point to point and do everything. But you have to do it so many times anyway because you have to run from save point and then save. Often while staring directly at the xenomorph, you save and hope that it doesn't notice you.
This can't be a speedrun game, can it? Is there a speedrun of Alien Isolation?
There is.
I need to see that. That must be spectacular.
Must be a lot of knowing what's ahead of you, but also a lot of luck with the AI, so it doesn't actually disturb you.
Knowing when to sprint and when you can't sprint. Yeah, that sounds terrifying. That's my next thing. Look at some Alien Isolation speedruns. That sounds fantastic.
So you
kill them.
You deal with that whole area. You get out. Also at this point, it's at this point you walk across this big generator thing with this spectacular piece of scenery. This all power generator.
It looks really good.
Aesthetically, it's great. And you've got the sound effects going off with the womp in the background. And that's really cool. Hitting all the terminals to get all the core destructy things done. I'm sure it's really important, but I don't know what it did.
You're basically trying to flush out aliens.
Yeah, sending big energy or something so it kills them all, basically.
It backfires really well. It backfires, so 2 of them escape, and so now
Well, I didn't count. There was multiple.
I think it implies there's more than two. It's just sort of like here's two that you can see.
Yeah, that's fair. Then you go to what's the name of Marlowe's ship, because he has escaped at this point and he has Taylor with him.
Oh,
the Anasidora or something.
The Anasidora, yes.
Yeah. So you go there. Basically a pretty chill section again, with the exception of one lone fucking facehugger hiding in the boxes.
Marlowe didn't find that when he was walking along because he
maybe his pet, maybe, who knows.
So anyways,
Huggy.
Marlowe is maybe probably given the most depth in this game, because he basically lost his wife to the alien.
One of the few characters that has motivation.
Yeah, he basically lost his wife. He accidentally brought this whole thing to the space station, so he feels massive pangs of guilt. And then he finds an actual recording from Ellen Ripley, which I can actually get to listen to, and it's Sigourney Weaver and everything.
Sigourney Weaver as well.
Yeah, which is pretty nice. Pretty much
money.
Moment.
Why not?
Yeah. So Marlowe is another. It's sort of understandable, but he basically wants to overload the power of the ship.
The entire ship.
Yeah,
blow everything up.
Yeah, and Amanda is kind of like, I mean, there's still innocence on here, so maybe cool it a bit.
Me included.
that was also the reason why when you find the flight record, there's nothing on it, because he didn't want anyone else to know about.
Yeah, exactly.
Because then they'll do exactly what they always do in the films, just try and harvest it.
Yeah, he was totally right. He was totally right to blow the ship up. You should have let him do it.
It's weird because the game tries to make you, or it sort of hints that this guy's a bit unhinged. You know, you're not supposed to be in favor of what he's doing. But in reality, I think most of us would be like, oh, he's got a point.
He has a point.
So yeah, blow us up, man. Fuck this.
Yeah, Taylor.
No more cupboards for me.
Taylor has been kidnapped by. Taylor is established as like a Vilnius executive at some point, which I totally went by me. I didn't realize that.
Because she has no character, that's why.
Yeah. She brains Marlowe. We do a sequence where he tries to depower, and he sort of managed to do it, but Taylor still dies anyway. It's at this point you decide to hell with all this. You want to just escape now. Go back to the ship you came in from, because that's still
I was there long before she was.
So yeah, at this point also Ricardo gets got by a facehugger. Rip.
That was funny, actually. Ricardo, how are you doing? Oh, you look a little bit peaky there. Oh, wait, that's not your face.
You've done something to your face, have you?
What's wrong with your face? Yeah. So yeah, I think everyone more or less gets killed apart from Ripley.
Yeah, at this
just like the first film.
Final girl. Yeah.
At this point, dude, there's an entire long section where you had to like try to rejoin the Torrents. The ship you came on. You walk around multiple rooms. The alien is always there. There's sometimes two aliens.
Aliens, that's a plural, yeah.
Yeah, it's at this point I was kind of sick of it all. I just wanted to get this over with.
Was there two in that section?
This game's like maybe 2 hours too long, I think.
There was one point where I definitely saw two aliens. Like
no, there's definitely more than one alien.
Yeah.
And there's that near the end. There's that section. I think it's the habitation zone or something they call it.
Yeah.
Where you have to go to one end of the room to turn on a key card or something.
And then
you go to the door to open it. It's like, the power's suddenly shut. You have to go all the way back.
That was padding.
To turn the generator on to go back.
It didn't need padding out any further, and yet I thought, let's add this in.
I had no weaponry left on that section. I had like one Molotov. It's like, oh, please let me just
I just feel like I've been made a fool at this point.
He has no chill in that section. He just goes mad.
That was the section where I was like at my maddest, was when they told me to go back to the generator. I was like, no, fuck you.
At that point I thought this game should have ended
half an hour ago,
but it kept on going. Yeah, it's just...
And at the last second where you think, like, you're done, you put on a spaceship, and then, no, you fucking shoot down to a different nest.
Oh, you see the reflection, the drool on the helmet. And
I actually thought that was her crying for a second.
That's what I thought. That's meant to be part of the visual thing. I think. Oh, she's crying. Then it's like, oh wait, no, that's not
tears.
That's very gooey tears she has.
And I thought it was because it was a really reflective. I thought, the air's gonna pop up like behind the door or something. You're gonna just only see the reflection. No, it was from the fucking ceiling.
This is why you get dressed faster.
So yeah, there's an entire section. You had to navigate more facehuggers. There's trains
more
now.
endgame stuff.
It's it just takes so long until you finally manage to get on the spacesuit, and then you do this entire sequence where you basically try to blast yourself off to the torrents because you can't dock. And then, as you're about to blast off, the whole slew of aliens who can breathe in vacuum of space for some reason.
It's never said that they can't do that in any of the other established lore things, so I'm guessing it's kind of valid.
Yeah.
Well, I don't understand the science behind it, but sure.
Yeah.
I do enjoy that last part where you get to put the four like things come up, you got to push all the buttons, then push them down like in the first movie when the self-destruct thing goes off.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's quite a neat little callback, even though it does take you like 16 hours to get it done.
Yeah. But you succeed, you get on torrents, mission over, you go to the captain. Oh no, there's no captain, there's an alien. What the fuck? Why is he here?
More endgame stuff. Yeah, again, it's one of these like fake endings, like, oh, just get it over and done with, Christ almighty.
Then there's there's a sequence with you had to press buttons, you had to walk backwards in the next second, and then
that was weird. That quick time event part at the end, I didn't like that.
Yeah, that was a weird way to end it because
that's really jarring.
Because that's the way it ends. They
could have cut that entire last part out, and it would have been completely fine.
You do this like last keystrokes. You get blasted out into space along with the alien. And then there's a little cutscene with you floating in space, and then you see a light in a reflection, and then credits.
Yeah, it's a Predator ship.
Yeah.
That was a very weird.
Oh, that would be brilliant. That would be a brilliant like sequel thing.
Yeah.
It's just that, I didn't like the ending at all. I thought it was just like, how many times did she like almost die and come back? It's tedious now. The game should have ended like 2 hours before that point, I think, at least. It just kept on going and throwing more things, giving you more kind of like...
It was a bit of a
half endings, and then the new thing comes up, and it should have been ended well before that.
Part at the very end where you think you're safe, that just felt really unnecessary.
Yeah,
I would cut that entire part out. I think when you see the three aliens, you push the button and you're almost flying into space. Just do it there.
It's only there just to make you, I don't know, just subvert expectations.
Safe.
Yeah,
and then replace the vibes at the end because of sequels that are never going to happen.
I feel like when I recapped the plot, there were several areas that I glossed over because they're not really relevant to the plot. They could have taken out, like when they had
half of the game is escape this or turn this thing on that's been turned off.
Find this thing to activate this thing, and it really isn't necessary to the overall game. If you had half the game, this would be the great survival horror experience.
A lot of it is quite kind of fetch questy. You know, the whole part to try and get the med pack for what's her face. I think I forgot what her fucking name was. Then come back there, and then she dies anyway. So there's no point even doing that in the grand scheme of things. So, but yeah, then it's go back to this place and turn this button, turn on this generator, and then come back and do this again. And it's just like I just want to get out of here. Let me escape. I want to leave.
Yeah, I feel like the game
overstays its welcome. Not by too much, but it does.
The plot's not great and the characters aren't great. The actual mechanics are the main selling point, and it does well mechanical-wise, to be fair, but there needs to be a decent plot to really drive it forward, to be honest, and I think the game, it has glimmers of it, but I think a lot of it's too long.
Yeah,
this game took me a long time to beat.
Right, the glimmers that you mentioned are basically just stuff that's taken from the first film anyway.
Yeah, atmospheric stuff usually.
And the background.
Into the game.
I mean, if you like the film, then you'll get something out of this.
Yeah, like I beat the game in about 12 hours, I think, ish, maybe.
I think something similar.
I think I spent double of that because I'm a very cautious player.
You were exploring around as well, get all the pickups and stuff. I just tend to blast through it and ignore all the lore.
I want the lore. That's obviously the more interesting part of the game is the lore, because the actual game itself doesn't really offer much in the way of story.
That's fair. I could have done with the game being about 2 hours shorter, though. I think at least minimum.
Like the fake ending things, it could have.
That part where when you sort of blow up the core part, and you get into get all the generators and stuff turned off, and then you get the big blast wave. Ending it there would have been fine for me. I think anything beyond that just felt kind of superfluous. Did not enjoy it.
There's a start section where you basically have to navigate through like androids. You have to navigate through riot shielded humans at some point. But it's
the humans. We even talked about the humans.
They're just around.
Yeah,
they crop up every now and then.
Wait, did you say there's people with riot shields?
Yeah, or
I
right
miss-
here. Right here.
Okay, I was going to say, I saw no riot shields.
I heard shields too, actually.
I don't know. I think they were just better equipped humans.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they start giving them guns, which is quite a rare thing for the actors to have guns that fire at you. It's more common earlier, I think, before it becomes more of a threat. Then you get the riot gear guys, and you get a few of the company guys running around sometimes.
Yeah.
Very, very like 3 or 4 at a time, but then the alien can kill them all, so it's kind of pointless.
Yeah.
They seem kind of the whole thing seemed kind of pointless them even being there, frankly.
Oh, there was the entire section. I actually forgot about the section. There was the entire section that was full of I believe those riot cop guys and also some androids. But I managed to sneak through that entire section without anyone noticing me, so that didn't barely even registered.
Humble brag. Yeah, but the humans I would have left out the game completely as enemies. I think you've got enough on your plate with the androids and the alien as it is. I think adding them in just didn't really add anything.
You can leave them in, but that's neutral cannon fodder for
having
them
be hostile in the
the
circumstances. Given what's been going on in the station, them shooting at you seems at least of their concerns right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're there, and again, it's another thing that just sort of passed the game out by another hour or so that really didn't need to be there.
Yeah.
But this game would be great if it was streamlined.
I feel like the game struggles a bit between keeping the tense and scary tone and at the right amount before it becomes too frustrating. It turns frustrating at some point. You
just want knowing when to stop.
Yeah, you just want to make it get over with at some point. You just don't care anymore about the actual tension of the attack. You become less scared of seeing the alien, more oh fuck, here it is.
Yeah, because the game sort of it gets really tense and then it sort of dies down for a bit, and that's when you want to sort of bring it to an end. But then it ramps back up again, then ramps down and ramps up and ramps down.
I don't mind that too much for horror games. At least then it keeps you on your toes a little bit in terms of the scare factor.
Yeah, but it shouldn't feel tedious at any point.
I quite like the idea of thinking you've got rid of the alien and then it turning up but not immediately turn up. You have to do a couple of missions or objectives.
The issue is mainly that most of the encounters tend to play out in the exact same way with the alien after you've learned its tricks. Yeah. And you just do the same thing in a different environment. The alien doesn't learn anything new. You don't get that many new toys to play with. It's mostly just you doing the same thing to avoid being caught times 10, 15, whatever it is, encounters that you have with it. Once you get all the weapons and stuff, there's not really anything more it can throw at you at that point. So you're just repeating the same thing.
It's a lot easier to deal with when you actually have more at your disposal.
Have a gun on them or something.
That was the big problem with the first section of the game where you have to deal with a patrolling alien. You don't really have anything to work with. It makes that
your wits, Craig. Your wits.
That's not.
Well, I guess in your case, maybe not. But yeah,
thanks.
Wits and closets.
Mean. No, but I think once you get the flamethrower and all the other stuff, every single time it's oh, here it comes, whap, flamethrower, away it goes. I'll go a bit further.
It's like using a spray can on a cat.
At some point, the alien actually learns how to dodge back just around outside the range of the flamethrower, which I thought was neat. But
I just aim better than you, evidently.
I just didn't rely on it as a crutch as much.
Remember, short controlled bursts.
Yeah.
Or just spray and pray, as I say. Spray and pray.
Yeah, you had no ammo for at any point during the flamethrower. When I watched you play, you had like 20 flamethrower fuel left. I had a full stack for my entire playthrough.
Yeah, me too. I was loaded entire time.
I mean, you played on easy though, didn't you? I played
that was on normal for the entire time, so I was good to go. But yeah. It's fine. I think the game's a bit repetitive in points, and it needs to sort of end way before it did. But overall, it's solid.
Yeah, overall it's a cool experience.
Critics liked it. It got 81 on Metacritic. Won a couple of Game of the Year awards, like best horror game of the year stuff. Didn't sell very well.
I'm going to say this is one of my favorite games of all time. It
all
gets
time.
that. Yeah, it's getting an accolade. It's getting an accolade. I had really fun with it. I loved it.
Where's the Johan?
You've kept this quiet.
Johan Trophy.
Johan's Game of the Year is a game from 2014. Who knew?
No, you didn't say which year.
Game
All
of
years
a
up until
year.
now.
It's been a while since I had this much fun with an FPS. It's been.
I
a while.
will say it's my favorite Alien game.
It's the
fair.
parts that work really well. But
Yeah,
it
does.
doesn't do well
Yeah.
striking the balance between
So
being, just hard enough where it's not a cakewalk, but at the same time, but when it tries to make it harder, sometimes it goes too far the other direction.
Yeah. I mean, the game flopped in the sales, so it's fine. I mean, no sequel for On the Horizon. Apparently, they wanted to make a sequel, but apparently the sales were that bad that they just chose not to go ahead with it.
Well, I can play it in VR.
I think maybe because of the
do
other
that.
Alien games being quite bad, there could have been a slight of a Colonial Marines backlash in terms of the sales that they had because of obviously the reputation.
Survival
that the Alien
horror
franchise has got.
Survival horror is a pretty niche genre as well.
It also has Aliens, and Aliens has got a very spotty reputation for making like really bad games. So I think that's probably burned a few people off that as well. So yeah, much as it got decent reviews, it didn't sell that many units. Hence why there's been a lack of any activity on that since.
Would you play a sequel?
2 Alien, 2 Isolated.
I mean, if it improved on what it did in the first game, then I'd be curious for sure. Absolutely.
Craig, a sequel. That's a VR only.
Okay.
No.
Well, apparently they definitely planned like a VR version, but apparently they never made it to
There-
the.
there's
Probably
a-
a way
there's a
to
mod.
mod it if you want.
Yeah, there is.
There was like an Oculus version that was like teased before the game released that I think got shelved before the game actually was like published and made.
Yes.
For some
I
reason,
like
apparently there's
this.
still some like Oculus code in the actual like console ports of the game.
That'll be how they're doing it then.
I can't imagine this game being my idea of a good time in VR. I can't think of anything worse, in fact, than playing this game in VR. I'd be shitting myself
I
continuously
think
for
that's
about 12
the
hours.
idea.
But like
Shitting simulator.
I just don't see how it would work. I don't want to imagine that. It's terrifying enough as
You're
it is. God.
you're crouching the entire time in VR.
Let's play it in VR on the Android and get one of those daft like cardboard.
Or no,
eye
no you
things.
can just do it on a Switch with the Labo.
I forgot the switch of the Labo thing. I completely forgot. Having that thing glued to your face seems a little bit counterintuitive, but what do I know? I'm not
What were you
Nintendo,
doing
apparently.
to me? Playing Alien Isolation.
Why I've shit myself repeatedly. So
Yeah.
if we're giving it marks out of 10, what do you think we'd be scoring?
Seven.
I give it a thumbs up out of possible 2.
Oh, you're being one of those guys.
8.5,
numerical
8.5 or
scores.
9 out of 10.
So one of your best games of all time is an 8.5.
Yes, I've played all these shit games.
I hate video games. Fuck them.
Well,
There's
Roger
no such
Ebert
thing.
of gaming.
There's no such thing as a 10 out of 10. 9 out of 10 is the best of the best.
Not even Half-Life 2.
Half-Life 2, From Its Time, an 8.
A perfect 5 out of 7.
Do you even like games?
The silence there speaks volumes, I think, in that situation.
I tolerate games.
I'd give it a solid 7.
Yeah.
What I enjoyed it quite a lot. What I didn't enjoy, I really didn't enjoy. I think it balances out
it's
to
a
a fair 7.
One of those games I want to like more than I do, and I'm not sure
Well,
how. And
yeah.
I'm not sure how much of that is just because survival horror is not a genre I've played that much, so I don't know if my complaints are just because I don't play that genre or not.
No, next week we're playing Silent Hill 2.
Next week.
I will
Jesus.
no. I will not be partaking in that. Thank you very much. You can tell a lot of care went into the game, and I think that's partly why it works. There's a lot of charm to it because it's not like a massive conglomerate have made this game. They're not
I think
massive,
particularly with the
creative,
source
what
material.
they're called.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean certainly it's definitely probably the most faithful like game adaptation to a movie I can think of.
Yeah, I would say that they really do a very good job.
I can't think of
adapting
any
the
game that I've
actual universe.
seen. I can't see any other game that I can think of that's been as faithful, or anything that's almost too faithful. But yes, it's definitely, you can tell where it's got its inspirations from, by 100%. But yeah, it's definitely in terms of, again, best Alien game, I think that's pretty hard to argue against any other ones that would be even in contention for that.
Not
Apart from the EVP games.
not Colonial Marines, that's for sure.
That's next month, that's fine, we'll do that one.
Actually, let's talk about next month. Next month it's
November.
November to remember, as we decide to celebrate one of the greatest gaming icons in video game history, in honor of Sonic Frontiers hitting store shelves to probably mediocre receptions. We will be celebrating the great big blue hedgehog mascot by let me see my notes here. Shadow the Hedgehog. Wait a minute.
Yeah, the seminal classic Shadow the Hedgehog.
Who approved this?
Even for me, that's a bad idea.
I've already played
any Sonic game. I want it to be proper shit.
I played 1 minute of it and I want to kill myself already.
Spoilers.
It makes a hell of a first
given
impression.
time. Yeah, we're joined by 3 guys and 1 corpse for next month's podcast. Weekend at Johan's.
I hate it. Seriously, it's been a while since I've hated playing a game.
I'm sure you'll learn to love that the more.
Not your game of the year.
More detail next month. I'm sure we'll learn to love it the more we get into it.
Yeah.
He says to himself constantly.
Let's save our opinions on our loading for next month as we bid you all adieu and hope you all enjoy this Halloween season. If you haven't already.
Unless the episode goes out in November, in which case we're sorry.
Apologies. Enjoy Thanksgiving
this year. Mine is disappointment.
Was it Bonfire Night November? Yeah.
I heard that was Bonfire. I thought like a James Bond thing. I was like, okay.
Alright, bye-bye.
Bye.